Welcome to IELTS on Air. Today I'd like to talk to you about the assessment criteria which are used by examiners. Please go to takeielts.britishcouncil.org and there you will see the band descriptors for speaking. When you read the description, you may not be able to understand what exactly is being expected from you. It may seem like fluff jargon that only some professionals can understand. So the criteria is intended for the examiners, which is why it is professionally worded. But I'll try to break it down for you. The IELTS speaking test is assessed based on 4 criteria: fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. As you can see, the band scores are vertically from 0 to 9, and next to them, the explanations and the boxes, the things you should do to fulfill the criteria to get the score. As most of the candidates are aiming for a band score somewhere between 6 and 7, I first want to focus on band 7 score explanations. If you're targeting 6.5, you should still aim for 7. Let's take a deeper look into the criteria. The first criteria is fluency and coherence. This measures how smoothly you speak and how well you organize your ideas. You should aim to speak at a natural pace, avoid too many pauses or hesitations, and connect your ideas logically. You need to show the examiner your ability to continue without unnatural hesitations or repetition and create a meaningful, easy-to-follow speech. In other words, what you say should make sense and should be relevant to the question or the task. Your speech rate should be normal, not too fast, not too slow, and you should be able to keep going without too much self-correction, repetition, and a long pause. Not finishing your utterances, moving to another sentence without completing one will also interrupt your flow of speech. Now let's see the fluency and coherence description for Band 7. Able to keep going and readily produce long turns without noticeable effort. Some hesitation, repetition, or self-correction may occur, often mid-sentence, and indicate problems with accessing appropriate language. However, these will not affect coherence. There are 2 kinds of hesitations. One is content-related, and the other one is language-related. As the level of candidate increases, hesitations are usually content-related. I mean, the candidate may just be thinking about what to say next, which is normal. We all do it when speaking in our native language as well. Being fluent does not mean speaking like a machine. You will of course pause a bit or will correct yourself from time to time, but how often you do this will determine your score. So what is a language-related hesitation then? This is about trying to formulate sentences during speech or reformulating your sentences, correcting yourself all the time, or trying to remember a word and not being able to find the correct one, and keep thinking and thinking, being stuck in the middle of the speech because you cannot form a sentence or remember a word. So these are language-related hesitations. So the examiner will see if your hesitations are content-related or language-related, and the frequency of this during the test. For Band 7, your hesitations, corrections, and so on should not affect the integrity of your speech. Remember, your overall performance matters. Let's go back to the criteria for fluency and coherence for Band 7. At the bottom it says, flexible use of spoken discourse markers, connectives, and cohesive features. This is about the use of linkers, connectors like however, for example, in addition, or you can use structures like by this I mean that. Please note that overuse of linkers sounds unnatural, so use these phrases appropriately when necessary. No need to use super formal, old-fashioned phrases. Just keep it simple and natural. Let's continue with the second criteria, which is lexical resource. This evaluates your vocabulary using a range of words and expressions accurately, as well as demonstrating the ability to paraphrase. It is also important to use vocabulary that is appropriate for the topic. Here the key indicator is being able to produce a range of vocabulary to discuss topics comfortably. So let's read the descriptors for Band 7. Resource flexibly used to discuss a variety of topics. Some ability to use less common and idiomatic items. An awareness of style and collocation is evident, though inappropriacies occur. Effective use of paraphrase as required. So variety is important, appropriacy is important. Do not use a word just because you think it's a high level of vocab or thinking that it is cool to use it. Also, pay attention to the style. Not too formal, not too informal either. Please avoid using slangs or inappropriate language. The use of idiomatic items and less common phrases, even with some errors, will be acceptable for Band 7. Here, the density of mistakes will determine your score. So some examples for idiomatic items can be, it is a piece of cake for me, it cost me an arm and a leg, or silver lining. And the example collocations are utterly ridiculous, extremely interested, or deeply sorry. As for less common vocabulary, you may use challenges instead of difficulties, or you may use individuals instead of people. One last thing for lexical resource criterion is paraphrasing. I mean, you should be able to find an alternative way of saying things or an alternative vocabulary to avoid repetition. This is also to show your ability to use a range of vocabulary. Let's move on to the next criterion, which is grammatical range and accuracy. As the name suggests, this criterion is about grammar. What to do to meet the requirements for Band 7? Let's see the band descriptor first. A range of structures flexibly used. For Band 7, the term flexibly is used a lot in each criterion. It means you should be able to use the structures effortlessly. Here again, you're expected to provide a range of grammatical structures. The use of different tenses, comparatives, relative clauses, gerunds, conditionals, simple and complex sentences. So variety is essential. Low level of candidates tend to heavily rely on present simple or present continuous, and their sentences are usually basic and short. In the criterion, it says error-free sentences are frequent. Both simple and complex sentences are used effectively despite some errors. A few basic errors persist. So you will provide a range of sentence structures which should also be accurate. For Band 7, some mistakes are tolerable. If you're able to provide a range of structures, but you're also making a lot of mistakes, then your band score for grammar will go down to 6. The types of mistakes that a Band 7 makes should not have any effect on communication. The examiner should be able to understand your point despite the mistake. Before moving on to the next criterion, which is pronunciation, I just want to sum up some of the key points for Band 7. So some key indicators for Band 7 are effortless use of language. I mean, not having any obvious difficulty when trying to find vocabulary, when formulating a long sentence, or when moving between ideas. So you should be as effortless as you can. Oh, your hesitations should be content related as much as possible, not language related. You should be able to express yourself, your ideas, using a range of structures, vocabulary, or grammatical structures. And the accuracy, the frequency of your errors. You need to keep mistakes to a minimum. Let's now continue with pronunciation. This criterion assesses how well you're understood. Clear pronunciation, appropriate intonation, and natural rhythm are important. You don't need to have a native accent, but your speech should be intelligible. Let's first read the descriptor. So the pronunciation criterion for Band 7 says, displays all the positive features of Band 6 and some, but not all, of the positive features of Band 8. So the pronunciation criterion for Band 7 is a mixture of Band 6 and Band 8. Then we need to check both Band 6 and Band 8 for pronunciation criterions. Let's begin with Band 6. So the criterion says, uses a range of phonological features, but control is variable. Chunking is generally appropriate, but rhythm may be affected by a lack of stress timing or a rapid speech rate. Some effective use of intonation and stress, but this isn't sustained. Individual words or phonemes may be mispronounced, but this causes only occasional lack of clarity, can generally be understood throughout without much effort. So dear friends, a Band 7 should meet all of these positive features. Now let's look into Band 8 for pronunciation. So it says, uses a wide range of phonological features to convey precise or subtle meaning, can sustain appropriate rhythm, flexible use of stress and intonation across long utterances, despite occasional lapses, can easily be understood throughout, accent has minimal effect on intelligibility. You don't have to meet all the requirements of Band 8, just some of the positive features. It is a bit hard to explain pronunciation as it is something abstract, but I'll give you some tips. Firstly, do not worry about your accent. The examiner will not judge your accent unless it has some effect on intelligibility. I mean, causing some certain difficulties for the listener. But here, having a clear pronunciation should be your target, not sounding like a native. If you can, that's great, but just don't put all your energy into it. Please do not speak too fast and too slow. As English is a stress-timed language, be careful with word stress and sentence stress. Some languages have a very flat intonation, so if you have a such mother tongue, then you may need to bring some rhythm to your speech. For this, all you can do is listening to the native speakers and repeating or copying what they're doing. You can also use online dictionaries as they also provide the pronunciation of the words. But to improve your overall pronunciation, you need to do repetitions at the sentence level. For that, you can watch podcasts, interviews, or anything in English with subtitles. You can stop the video, repeat the sentence over and over again until you're satisfied with your level. Alright dear friends, I hope you'll find the video useful. If yes, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please write in the comment section and also check my other videos to get more information about IELTS speaking. Thank you for listening.